Hello, welcome to Hakuna MaChatter, and it is that time of year. Why be different than everyone else? I'm going to be going through my top 10 films of 2022. Let's see as to how many of my films are your films in that top 10, and let's start a conversation down in the comments below. Something to add before I start this video is to say that this list will be films released in the UK in 2022. So maybe they were released in different territories on different dates in different years, maybe in 2021, but I am going off of their UK 2022 release. So we're going to be keeping today really easy, and I'm going to be doing something a little different in order to go through my top 10, and I'm sure other people do this to go through their top 10. I said doo-doo, ha ha ha, but I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and I'm going to be giving you my top 10 through the medium of song. That is really out of tune. Do you know what? We won't do song. We'll do Letterboxd. I'll just go through what I wrote on Letterboxd. That seems a lot easier and quicker. So we're going to start off then at number 10 with Netflix's Intergalactic. Intergalactic is the story of Jabari, a charming streetwear-clad artist on the cusp of real success. After a chance run-in with his cool new photographer neighbor Meadow, Jabari has to figure out whether he can make space for love in his life. And that is kind of like the whole film. It's just very simple storytelling with incredible visuals and music and great characters, etc, etc. But yeah, let me skip to Letterboxd so you can see what I thought exactly at the time, and this is what I had to say. The film is a vibe, chilled out with low stakes, gorgeous artwork and animation, wonderful voice cast, voicing beautiful characters, and not to mention is an original black-led film filled with black joy. More of this, please. And yeah, that's definitely how I feel about this film still. If you want to check it out, or if you want to check out more of my deeper thoughts on Intergalactic, yo, click that little thing right there. All right, moving on to film number 9, and a little kind of unknown film that slipped under the radar, but I'm that kind of guy that is on emailing lists for cinemas, and this came up and I was like, cool, I want to check it out. But it is Casablanca Beats, a realistic drama set in the cultural centre in Casablanca's Sidi Moumen neighbourhood, a poor suburb that became infamous in 2003 due to a terrorist attack perpetrated by locals. And yeah, as I said, just a film that really kind of snuck up on me. And now I've gone onto my Letterboxd and I've realised that I actually didn't write anything at the time of watching this film. I remember it was kind of near the beginning of the year and I wasn't actually writing in what I thought about films. But what I can tell you that I did like about Casablanca Beats is that we have a bunch of school children who are learning to express themselves through dance, through rap, and through other creative methods, as opposed to just the normal teaching and political ways. I say political ways because they bring up a lot of societal and political issues, and they discuss this through their rap, and they have scenes where they're all sat in circles discussing the politics and the social politics of the world that they live in. What's really interesting about it is that the kids are sort of playing themselves, and as I believe I've read or heard about this film, is that the director sort of let them sit in groups and then just discuss things, and the director and DOP and writer would capture stuff and then edit that into the film. So it's almost as if a lot of the views coming from the actors, from the characters, are actual real views, things that they actually do believe, which kind of gives that level of authenticity that really does come through in the film and speaks from a place of real understanding, which I really admired and really enjoyed. And yeah, a lot of their rap music is really interesting. It's kind of great to hear how they rap in between Arabic and French and little bits of English, and maybe there's some other dialects in there that I'm not aware of, but if you are, please let me know in the comment section down below. Coming in at number 8 is probably the biggest film of the year, certainly in terms of box office, and that is Avatar: The Way of Water. Return to Pandora, set more than a decade after the events of the first film, learn the story of the Sully family, Jake, Neytiri and their kids, the trouble that follows them, the lengths they go to keep each other safe, the battles they fight to stay alive, and the tragedies they endure. So I really didn't know what to expect when going into this film, right? I mean, as we all know, it's a decade since the last film came out, and even though it's kind of a really highly anticipated film, what was it going to be like? We knew that the visuals were going to exceed all expectations as they did with the first film, but one kind of slight thing about the first film that people didn't really like was the story, and was that going to hold up here? Well, let's see what I wrote on Letterboxd. It holds similar faults as the first, but my god, if these films don't make me feel like I am 10 years old again, then I don't know what does. Also, can we have more Neytiri in the next, please? Zoe Saldana is heavily underused, that when she does finally get some action, it just didn't feel enough. I actually feel that Avatar: Way of Water really did kind of exceed my expectations. There were a couple parts in the middle of the film where I was a bit like, okay, cool, I feel we've done that, I get the idea of what's going on here, let's move on, because I heard that the action was great, and I think one of the standout things about Avatar is the action, and yeah, it was here. I really liked the final battle sequence. It seemed to just, it's one of those action sequences that seems to just keep going and going and going. You know, you kind kind of think you come to the end and then a new thing happens. And I really enjoy that. I like when, you know, it's not predictable. Moving on to number 7, and I think it was a film that was kind of a really big surprise for me, but it was The Batman. Unmask the Truth. In his second year of fighting crime, Batman uncovers corruption in Gotham City that connects to his own family while facing a serial killer known as the Riddler. Now, like with Casablanca Beats, I logged this film, but I haven't actually written anything on Letterboxd, so I'll try and speak from what I remember about The Batman. As I said, it was kind of surprising. I think what I really enjoyed was Pattinson's portrayal of Bruce Wayne, which is to say he hadn't built the mask of Bruce Wayne yet. I think one thing that I always enjoy about the Batman is that he is the Batman and the mask is Bruce Wayne. So when he was in public as Bruce Wayne, he was just this kind of real creepy, skulking guy, just ready to put the cowl and the cape back on and fight some crime. But yeah, as I say, like overall, this film kind of surprised me. I thought visually it was really lovely. They obviously used the VR backdrop with this one, the volume, and I actually thought that really works very well here. And I think actually, you know, going back to those kind of Batman detective roots as well worked really in favour for this film. So looking forward to seeing any possible sequels. Coming in at number 6 was Boiling Point. A head chef balances multiple personal and professional crises at a popular restaurant in London. Yeah, this one again kind of really pleasantly surprised me. Obviously I'd heard a bit about it. The main thing that it was all shot in one take, and I think that is the thing that kind of really stands out about this film. But also, if you've worked in the service industry, if you've worked in a restaurant or in hospitality, for me anyway, this film just like captured the complete essence and spirit and what goes on with that kind of work. And it at times it's infuriating, and at times you really just want to step in and almost punch somebody, right? Because I'm just living my life outside of acting and YouTube, and kind of horrendous. My girlfriend and I, we watched it at the Rio Cinema in Dalston, which is only about a 10 minute walk from the actual restaurant where the film was filmed. So that was kind of exciting. It felt like it kind of immersed us a little bit more, I feel, and that's probably why it has landed in one of my top favourite films of the year. So I think the films that are kind of really making up these top 10, a lot of them are just surprising or have surprised me or have exceeded what I even thought about them, and that continues into number 5 with Triangle of Sadness. Models Carl and Yaya are invited for a luxury cruise with a rogues gallery of super rich passengers. At first all appears Instagrammable, but the cruise ends catastrophically and the group find themselves marooned on a desert island. I mean, this film, let me just get up what I actually said about this film, because I know I logged this. So here we go. Batshit freaking mental and incredibly poignant at the same time. Eat the Rich. Brilliant film. Just like the whole section in the middle of the dinner party. If you've seen it, you know. If you haven't, I'm not going to spoil it. It's just brilliant. And it really does, as I say, like Eat the Rich, it really does kind of, there's a moment in the film where it kind of turns everything on its head, as it says in that description, catastrophically, turns everything on its head. You see the difference in the class of people and how, you know, people who are considered high class suddenly don't know how to function, and people who are considered working class or lower class suddenly very much do know how to function. Coming in at number 4 is She Said. Now, I don't think there's really much that needs to be said about this film. The content of the film itself speaks for itself, and so this, you know, kind of all that really mattered was the editing, the directing, and the kind of actual physical mechanics of putting this film together, as to opposed to the actual content itself. And it all really works incredibly well, and Kerry Mulligan and Zoe Kazan lead this film with absolute aplomb. I really hope they both do pick up nominations throughout this whole award season. New York Times reporters Megan Toohey and Jodie Cantor break one of the most important stories in a generation, a story that helped launch the #MeToo movement and shattered decades of silence around the subject of sexual assault in Hollywood. Okay, I wrote quite a bit for this. The content of the film speaks for itself. Maria Schrader fantastically directs it all into a moving piece that has you gripping onto every nail-biting second. The way you rise and fall along with the reporters Megan and Jodie, played by Kerry Mulligan and Zoe Kazan respectively, is indicative of Schrader's direction, as well as Mulligan's and Kazan's performances, which should see them both into award season. You hear and read accounts of women who are victims of sexual assault and the impact it has on them, and this film really encapsulates both the immediate and lasting trauma. It's really the kind of film that all men need to watch: the criminals, the enablers, and the allies. We have to make sure we speak up when we see it. When I say the allies, I mean people who are allies to women of sexual assault, not people who are allies to men who commit sexual assault. Probably should have made that clear when writing that. But yeah, I don't think I can really say much more than what I have said and what I wrote in that Letterboxd review. I think if you haven't checked the film out yet, please make sure you do, because it's a really important film that, as I said, highlights something incredibly important. Have I said important too much? Have one more. Important. All right, let's take a look at film number 3, and it is After Sun. Sophie reflects on the shared joy and private melancholy of a holiday she took with her father 20 years earlier. Memories real and imagined fill the gaps between mini DV footage as she tries to reconcile the father she knew with the man she didn't. This film sent me on a loop. I'm just going to read you what I wrote, okay? I mean, I gave it 5 stars, but let me just... While watching the film, I couldn't decide where it would land. Halfway through, I thought 3 stars. By the end, my thought was 4 stars. But as I was walking to work after the film, which is about a 20 to 30 minute walk, an absolute wave of emotion flooded over me. What any of it means, I'm yet to figure out. But what I do know is that After Sun is both beautiful and haunting. You want to just sit and enjoy the relationship between Callum and Sophie, but the intermittent flashes of a nightclub rave somehow bring you hurtling back down to earth. On the surface, everything is innocent and fun, but the holiday has to end eventually. Literally, I cannot describe how I felt about this film. I kind of came out of it a bit sort of, yeah, okay, I've watched a film, that was cool. And then, I kid you not, as I was walking to work from Covent Garden to Waterloo, and suddenly, just absolute... I was on the brink of just complete floods of tears. If it wasn't for the fact that I was out walking in public and I'd maybe sat somewhere at home, I probably would have just really fell apart after watching this film. It was beautiful. The performances from Paul Mescal and Frankie Corio are just absolutely... They're just hauntingly beautiful. They're so good. They're so simplistic, but you really get the energy between them. You really get that father-daughter relationship from them. And it's just so, yeah, the chemistry is perfect. And I really hope that it pushes those two into award ceremony like I do feel with both Kerry Mulligan and Zoe Kazan as well. Coming in at number 2 is the film sat behind me right here. It is Nope from Jordan Peele. Let's read the little synopsis about the film. What's a bad miracle? Residents in a lonely gulch of inland California bear witness to an uncanny, chilling discovery. Okay, so Nope was like one of my most anticipated films of the year. And, you know, after it kind of came out in the US, a week, a month, I think it was a month before the UK, seeing initial thoughts and feelings coming through, seeing that it was kind of dividing people a little bit. You know, there's Jordan Peele kind of lost that spark from Get Out. I was a little bit worried, but I think the performances from Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer in particular were just, I mean, when I say in particular, I mean Keke Palmer in particular, were just insane. Hands down, some of my favourite acting performances of this year. We're talking about chemistry, and After Sun, chemistry was here in Nope as well. Just an exciting, exciting film. Let's read what I said on Letterboxd at the time. Yes. That was a great build-up, especially as the last couple have been really kind of long, and this one is just, yes, full stop. Great film, 5 stars, number 2 of the year. Okay, so before we hit my number 1 top film of the year, I think you're probably going to guess what it is. I've gone through the top 10 and there's a particular film that hasn't come up yet. But let's just quickly read from 20 up to 11 so you guys can just kind of see the other films that I rated highly enough this year to put in my favourite films. So at number 20, we have got Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Number 19, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Number 18, we have Lightyear. Really kind of surprised me, this film, actually. Number 17, we have Glass Onion, A Knives Out story. Not quite as great as the first, but still really enjoyable. Number 16, Decision to Leave. Should be higher on the list, but I think the last hour of the film kind of lost me a little bit. Elvis, love Baz Luhrmann. I can't fault nearly anything he does, and this really pleasantly surprised me. Coming up at number 14, Scream 5. Fun film. Looking forward to number 6. Number 13, Top Gun Maverick. I'm sure people would expect this to be a little bit higher. It probably should be. I had a really fun time with it. I thought it was great. The final action sequence, really white knuckle stuff. Great film. Number 12 is The Woman King. Again, I think this I expected to be higher in the list, but I think the film doesn't quite know what story it wants to tell, so it's a bit disjointed, but otherwise really enjoyable. And coming in at number 11, Pixar again with Turning Red. Yeah, again, a real pleasant surprise of a film. So number 1 of the year, yes, it is Everything Everywhere All at Once. What an incredible film. If we're talking about pleasant surprises, this one absolutely blew me through the roof. I thought it was going to be good. I remember seeing the trailers and reading things about it and seeing the initial thoughts coming out, because again, this was a film that released earlier in the US than it did here in the UK. I was worried it was going to be overhyped, but it was not. And I think what kind of really won me over is that it's a film that's kind of just fun and fast-paced throughout most of the first and second act. But when we get to the third act and we see the relationship between Evelyn and Waymond and between Evelyn and Joy, it really just, it's gut-wrenching. It really just pulls you in and just kind of, you know, similar to how Soul made you appreciate the small things in life. And I think Everything Everywhere All at Once really just makes you appreciate the people around you and the story and situation that you've gone through to get to where you are, because it might not be what you've planned years ago, and it might not be how you saw your life going out, but this is the life, right? This is your life, and you should be really thankful for the people you have around you, and show them love, and not worry about where you could have been, but accept where you are and how you can live and work in that situation. And that's life, and that I can't quite think of the word I'm trying to think of. Let's read what I said on Letterboxd, though, when it first came out. It's going to be difficult for a film to top that this year. And yeah, nothing else did top that. So congratulations, Everything Everywhere All at Once. You are my favourite film of the year. Let me know your favourite film of the year down in the comment section down below. Was there anything I missed out? If I did miss something out, it's probably because I didn't get to watch it yet. I'm thinking of films like The Menu or RRR. I actually didn't get to them in the end. So that's probably why they haven't featured in that top 10. Would they have been in the top 10? Who knows? But let me know yours in the comment section down below. Really look forward to seeing what films were your favourites. How similar was my list to yours? Did something get misplaced? Holler at me. All right, until next time. Oh, the next video out will be my most anticipated diverse films of 2023. So make sure you check that video out. And if you're watching this retrospectively in 6 months' time, then you probably can already watch the 2023 video. So yeah, subscribe. Hakuna MaChatter.